we have tons of news surrounding Newcastle United, and we'll be trying to find out, is Scalvini worth the risk? Is Anthony Elanga worth the on Toon Tactics TV, folks?
Oh, brilliant from Shaq. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Shaq
All right, folks. How are you all doing? And as always, I had the show planned. Still gonna do some Scalvini scouting reports, some Elanga scouting reports, and then you get tons more news and informations. And Newcastle decided to make bids for players, and then get bids rejected for players, all in one day, as well as a potential contract offer that's in pending for Mr. Isak. So we've got tons and tons of stuff that we're going to talk about, folks, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. We are going to be talking about Scalvini, the young defender from Atalanta, finding out, is he worth the risk for Newcastle United, obviously pertaining to his injuries, but also his talent and everything else. We're going to be talking about Anthony Elanga. Is he worth the money? Obviously, we bid for him this today as well. That bid got rejected swiftly without counter, as it says on Ornstein. So we're going to be talking about, is he worth the money or whatnot. We're going to be also talking about the other players that Newcastle are supposed to be are willing to move on from if Elanga deal does not come through, as well as touching on the various other transfer news with James Trafford been linked, possibly touch a little bit on Martin Guehi and other things as well. But before we get to those, I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about those as well. And obviously, we've also got special guest James Mitch from Where the Owls Sleep coming on later in the show. So I'm really, really looking forward to that, guys. So, guys, we've got tons and tons of stuff to talk about, to digest as well. So I couldn't think of a better crowd, a better audience to be doing it with as well. And already in the chat, we have Aaron Kane from Good to See You, sir. God bless you. Good evening, Philip. Good evening, Philip. Hope you are well. Living life to the full, sir. I am living life to the full. Good to see the club progressing with moves. Yes, exactly. With everything that's going on, Newcastle are progressing with moves. Hopefully, we see a signing by the end of the week. Looks like it's likely to be Trafford, but for 40 million, I still think that's probably a little too much. And there's a few people that agree with you, Aaron, on that one as well. So, be interesting to see what the rest of the chat thinks as well. Lee, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Evening, buddy. I managed to catch you live at the beginning of the show. LOL, not halfway through. And you know what? That is a blessing in itself. So it's good to see. It's good to see you, Lee. And yeah, now when we've got tons and tons of stuff we're going to be talking about today, so I'm really keen to get your views on things as well. It's good to see Luca Talks Football in the chat. Hi, good and good evening to you, sir. Good to see you. So, guys, I'm going to kick things off because we've got tons and tons of stuff to talk about, good stuff. And I want to be able to make sure I get your views and opinions. I want to be able to sure I interact with you stuff. And before I get into the Scalvini, Anthony Elanga stuff, literally just before I logged on, we had this news. Let me make sure you guys can see it. And this is from, and I haven't even read the direct article. That's how fresh it is, I didn't have to get into it. So I'm reading it literally from, whose post am I reading this from? From Geordie Josh. Great guy as well. Got to do really, really good content create himself. Now he's quoting an article from M. Hardy. Again, I didn't get a chance to read this. I literally just saw this before we started. Alexander Isak is set to become the highest paid player in Newcastle United history. The club are ready to offer the striker a salary beyond the 150 per week salary, which we would have guessed it would have been wage breaking. We've talked about it before. Let me just see if I can get M. Hardy on the. Let me see if you guys can see this. Yes, you can. Let me see if I can see beyond it. we have been talking about it. Oh, here we go, full story. I wonder if I can get access. I don't know what it's going to be like. Is he behind the paid wall? I have no idea. Literally, I'm doing this live with you guys at this moment in time. I haven't read it. I don't know the extent of it, but it is a flash sale. What a flash sale? I don't have a flash sale. Okay, yeah. So I don't know if anybody else has got it, but I'm gonna go on from this. Should I back up? Let me back up. Let me see what you guys can see. Yeah, so let me just see essentially what people are saying, and that is exclusive Newcastle ready to break the wage structure. Newcastle ready to break the club wage record to keep Alexander Isak. Now, I don't know the full details of it in terms of how much are they willing to offer Alexander Isak. I'll be really keen to know this, but it's fantastic news either way. Is it here? No, it's not. What are we looking to offer? Let me see what the comments are saying. Maybe I'll get a bit of a clue, a bit of an idea from the comments. And obviously, we've got Liverpool guys really. Sheesh, guys, I don't know. Oh my days, this obsession. More Liverpool fans. Everyone will go. Liverpool have the funds to test Newcastle resolve. I'm not even. Let's see. How much are we offering? Well, somebody's laughing at about £200 a week, so I'm assuming we're offering something around that. Anyway, when I know a little bit more, let me know. Let me see from the chat if anybody knows a little bit more about how much we're offering him. Either way, it is good news. It is positive news. And let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. How do you guys feel about it, especially in the midst of all this social media and all of that kind of surrounding Isak, who, just like the club, are staying just quiet and just doing their own thing. Let me see if anybody's got any idea in the chat in terms of what's offering. Sam, good to see you, Sam. God bless you. There is an interesting post about Bruno. Yes, I'm going to get into that from Rudy Galetti that you could look at in a bit. Yes, exactly. Very well spotted, Sam. I'm going to go into that. And literally, again, last minute stuff. I wasn't planning to look at it, but I can't ignore it. But yes, well done, Sam. Aaron Kane, give Isak whatever he wants. I agree. Just get the new deal sealed. If it breaks the wage structure, he's worth it. Yeah, I absolutely agree with it. The impact he has on the team, on the club, on everything else is absolutely important. Yeah, so it said 150 last from Matt Hardy. Yeah, I think it's referring to our current wage structure. So I think it's going to be well above that, I'm assuming. Let me see. I think we should be able, given Isak, our 200K best striker in the world. Let me just quickly see if I can get on. Let me see if I can ask Grok really, really quickly and see if he can break down, if he can get any inside scoop on this. No, wrong one. Let me see if I can get at least some sort of idea about what we're looking to get. Have I got myself off the screen? Here we go. Now I need to jump myself back on it. Bookmarks. Got tons of bookmarks. All right, so let me see if I can jump back on it. Let me see if I can make sure I share with you guys. Share screen. Yeah, Isak. Okay, Grok. What's it saying? What are we looking to offer him? The image shows Alexander Isak. Yes, it does. Reported 150 a week. Yes, is reflecting Newcastle's rumours are potential. The 98 million verbal. Okay, what is Newcastle rumored to be offering Isak in wages? Let me just see if I can clarify that. Let's see what it says. So nobody has a clue. All we know is that nobody has a clue. Basically, all we know that is Newcastle are planning to break their wage structure. So, guys, if anybody knows a little bit more, do let me know. Cy Robson, good to see you. God bless you. Evening to you. Evening to you. Um, Lee, we need to break the wage structure at some point. Yeah, a player. What a player. We need him to stay 250 a week. I think. Yeah, that'll be the right approach. I think. Sam, I did see though that based on spending calculations, Liverpool can allegedly still spend another 200 million. Yeah, look, I'm, they've. I've got no doubt they've got the spending power. We've talked about it before. And we've compared our PSR to their PSR and the kind of their approach and stuff like that. So yeah, no doubt they can spend it. And I'm sure the club, Isak, and everybody involved will be ready for the approach if there is one, and then we'll see and we'll take it from there. Kim Cam, good to see you. Evening to you. Evening to all. Evening to you, Kim Cam. So, guys, let me know. Let me know two things. Like, if anybody knows exactly what we're offering Newcastle, Isak, and what would you guys offer for Isak himself? I would definitely go with the 250k. I think that's the earliest I've heard was from Graham Bailey, which was that 250k a week would be fine. So I'm hoping to go with that. The other news I want to talk about is, as pointed out by Sam as well, and literally again, when was this given? 2 hours ago. I didn't see it. This is from Rudy Galati, and this is Bruno. I don't know what you guys think of this. Bruno Gomes has rejected Hilal's offer, which is fantastic, by the way. You don't see that making the rounds in the media, do you? The club sent an official proposal to the midfielder, but he wants to stay in Europe at Newcastle. More to follow. And I can imagine that the funds that they offered were absolutely astronomical. Is there anything more about Isak? So let me quickly go back a little reminder. Isak's increase covered by reduced limitation, 5-year contract, 5 million, 8 million is over 150 week a week. Nobody's got a clue how much we're offering. But going back to Bruno now. So, guys, players are staying. Our key players are refusing big contracts from Saudi Arabia, as in Bruno Gomes, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. With all this talk about Newcastle, can we keep our best players? And obviously any kind of news where people want to see, obviously, kind of want to see the Big Six club or the so-called Big Six clubs take our players. That's the news that's doing the rounds and traveling fast. And fair play to that. That's how the world works. But this is fantastic news for us Newcastle fans, which is obviously our captain, Bruno Gomes, rejecting, I'm sure, which would have been a fantastically lucrative offer from Saudi to say, no, I'm staying here for the Toon. And he's talked about before about wanting to win the Premier League of Newcastle United. So, look, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. It would be great to get your thoughts on it as well. And I am very, very, very happy about this news. Let me remind myself, is there anything else I want to talk before I get into the meat? Okay, so we are getting into the situation of Anthony Elanga in a moment. So, Isak, we're prepared to break the wage structure to get him on board, which is great, great news for Newcastle United. And Bruno Gomes is already rejecting big news from abroad, which is absolutely phenomenal. And it is very, very important for us in terms of our growth. Now. We are, got Cy Robson here. 300k a week for Isak, to quote the Godfather. Let's make him an offer he can't refuse. Yeah, exactly. Whatever it takes, really. I absolutely agree. Kim Cam, we do not need to sell. We don't need the money. We are building, not selling. Exactly. And that's what we are taking for this transfer, as well as like us finishing Champions League this season, was a key part for us this season. With us not being able to buy a first team player for free transfer windows, getting into the Champions League was so vital for us. Now this is the next part which is so vital for us, which is for the transfer windows, not just the buying of the players, which is going to be we're going to be talking about right now in a moment. It's going to be also the selling of the players to make sure we keep up with the PSR. We're not showing danger. But the other major, real major part is keeping our best players, and with Isak, the wages were, the new contract we're looking to propose to him, which is great news for us. And with Bruno Gomes essentially rejecting our Hilal's offer because he wants to stay at Newcastle United is absolutely phenomenal news for us. So, speaking of transfers and players to bring in, as I said, I had so much planned that I wanted to talk about. When we're talking about Scalvini, we've also got a young. By the way, we're also bringing a young Korean player from abroad. We're going to talk about him as well. I even forget. I forgot to mention him at the start. There's just so many things like to talk about. Really, kind of breaking. I'm going to have to start doing like 3-hour shows, I think. But let's start from the top. Can Eddie Howe pull off the Italian job? And that's obviously around the Scalvini news. We'll get to that in a moment. We're going to touch on this, though, which is primarily Mr. Elanga and then news of Newcastle United offering Nottingham Forest somewhere along the lines of, how much did we offer them? Let me just see. How much did we offer Nottingham Forest? Was it 40 million? Okay, so we had a 45 million bid rejected. This is from obviously from Sky Sports, Keith Downey. Many people have reported on it. So, and obviously we had a £5 million bid rejected. Newcastle are also. This is without counter, meaning that Forest felt so disrespected. Well, that's just my opinion, but essentially, without counter means that Forest didn't even bother saying, okay, we reject the 45 million, but we'll take 50, 55 million. They didn't even give us a counter. They just said no to 45 million and we're not selling him, which is interesting. And as we know, Forest have also bought like some players, some wingers from Juventus as well. So maybe they are looking to stock up on their players. We'll know. But the follow-up news from that has been that Newcastle will look for other alternatives, which has included Karim Adeyemi from Dortmund, Johan Bakayoko from PSG, Mohammed Kudus from West Ham. If we cannot get Mr. Anthony Elanga over the line. So I have, with the help of FB Ref, we've obviously done stats and scouting reports on these guys individually before in the past, but I've done because of time, I've done a somewhat brief kind of scouting report on these guys individually, on Karim Adeyemi, Johan Bakayoko, Mohammed Kudus, and compared them all using AI, as well as obviously what we know from kind of watching the players ourselves. Compare them to Anthony Elanga and just seeing, are these guys, if we don't get Anthony Elanga, are these guys good alternatives? So I want to be able to get you guys, even if you want to make your decisions now, let me know in the chat now what you guys think of all these players that Newcastle have been linked with. If we don't get Anthony, maybe you might think some of these players are even better than Anthony Elanga anyway. So let me get one of them instead. Let me know in the chat. And so I'm going to go through kind of going their strengths and weaknesses, compare them to each other, and see if they fit our system. I think we're looking to fit it, especially in the new coming season, the 4-2-3-1 or the 4-3-3. So I've kind of said, okay, when I asked AI, which one of these guys fits our system that we're going to be looking to do soon in the upcoming season. So we're going to be doing that. But you've already got folks in the chat as well. Let me see what you guys are saying. Kim Cam, we should not entertain the selling story. We're supposed to compete with the big boys and send our best players to our I'm assuming not selling our best players to our competitors. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. They offered Kim Cam, yes, they offered 45 million. Excellent. Thank you for stepping in there. David Bates, good to see you and God bless you. We can play 3 to 5 defense with Scalvini. I don't want to give too much away, but I was highly impressed. I haven't seen him play too much, but the reports and everything they're saying about him is really, really good. We can play 3 to 5 defense with Scalvini and be very potent force of fluid front three. Yes, I agree. And win back creating and attacking four. Absolutely. He gives a lot of fluidity to our team. We're going to be doing a little bit more of an in-depth scout report on him. Niall Kane, yes, yes, man, big ups, mate. Hope you're doing well. Now I'm very, very well. Good to see you. And God bless you. And yes, and a reminder to me with the thumbs up, guys. Do like, share, and subscribe. Be really, really great to have you guys hitting that like button as well. That's what gets the channel out there. Aaron Kane, Scalvini is the most unique centre back on the market. For me, he has an air of Dean Huijsen about him as well. Can do everything strong, break lines, plays anywhere along the back four. He does, even defensive mid. He is going to be elite. Would be unfair to partner him with Botman, to be honest. Is that because they both got ACLs? Because they both had ACLs. Cy Robson, for the price we need to go in for Johan Bakayoko. So you back Bakayoko, excuse the pun. I think he's getting at 30 million euros or something. Kim Cam Forest is playing the money game very well. They are, and they're making a lot of buys from Brazilian clubs, from Juventus as well. So let's see how this goes, really. Kim Cam Kudus is expensive. How much is he going for? Is it between 60 and 70 for him so far? I'd love to know. Aaron Kane, Atlanta, don't want to sell, but I'd be throwing 40 to 50, 45 million at them for him. He had his ACL injury, but so did Tino, and he's been nothing but a success. I'm going to start this comment, Aaron, because you make a very, very good point about Atlanta not wanting to sell. But I've got a question I want to ask you and all the channel about that, and all the chat about that, because kind of reading the reports, because I also listened to the interview from Moretta, the tier one journalist from Italy who first broke the news yesterday. So I'll be keen to get you guys' views on this. I'm going to start it. I'm going to come back to it. So Robson, what price is rumored for Scalvini? Well, I think Aaron mentioned 40, 45 million. I heard 50 million euros, but don't quote me on that. Sam can understand why people might be slightly enthusiastic about the winger list. For me, it's Elanga or Adeyemi. Well, speaking about the wingers list, and that's a great segue. As I've said, I went on the FBref, I went onto the AI, I've matched their skills and weaknesses. These are the alternatives that Newcastle reported to Keith, or somebody in Newcastle reported to Keith Downey that Newcastle will be looking for. Let's see how they compare to Anthony Elanga, and let's see who folks would want to go for. Already, we've had people say Johan Bakayoko, some people go for Kudus, but let's see. So Anthony Elanga, we know his player profile is 23 years old, plays for Nottingham Forest, formerly played for Man United. Profile, versatile winger with solid goal contributions. Got 0.23 goals and 0.4 assists per 90 generally. Strong and progressive. I think he got 6 goals this year, 7 goals the season just gone. With 11 assists, so about 18, 19 goal contributions. Strong and progressive carries, very, very good. 3.67 carries per game, so nearly 4 carries per game. And take-ons, so essentially taking on his man, 0.68 successful, which is not bad, 68% of the time. High percentile in assists, very high, 94, and aerials 177, which isn't bad. And if anyone's seen his training videos, he takes his jumping very, very seriously. Style, dynamic, direct winger, very direct in his dribbling, with a focus on dribbling and crossing. And in terms of technique, guys, like he's good with his left foot, with his right foot. I think he scored like 5 goals with his left foot so far for Forest over the last 2. How many seasons did he play for them? 2 seasons, I think. Yeah, 2 seasons he plays for them. He's in charge of their free kicks. He's in charge of their set pieces. So that lets you know that the guy's got technique, because you see a lot on social media about people saying that Eddie Howe just wants P merchants, that is pace and power. And that's just far from the truth for Anthony Elanga. This kind of narrative that all he's good at is running really fast and power is the wrong narrative. He's in charge of the free kicks from Nottingham Forest. The goal that we conceded at the City Stadium at Forest came from Anthony Elanga set piece. So the guy's got technique. The guy he can do what Murphy can do, but you can add dribbling and you can add carrying to that as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. Weaknesses: low shot volume, 0.86, and goal conversion, 0.14. Now, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He plays for, and again, this goes back to what I've heard people saying, and I got this in the comment from Sean Casey, where people keep on saying that Anthony Elanga is a counter-attacking player. Where I think, and I'm in agreement with Sean Casey and others who say this, is that I think he plays for a counter-attacking team rather than him being a counter-attacking player. And should he join a team like Newcastle United to do a bit of both, but are going to be more and more attacking, I think we'll see a different side of him, and I think you'll see his shot volume and his conversion rate and his dramatically improve playing for a better team with better players around him, in my opinion. But alternatively, if we do not get Anthony Elanga because of the prices and everything else, Karim Adeyemi, previously talked about him before, also 23 years old, plays for Dortmund in the Bundesliga. His profile is high energy winger with decent goal output, 0.51 and 90 per 90, puts him in the 91 percentile, and strong progressive carries, 4.33, even higher than Elanga's. He excels in take-ons, which is 2.38, successful, and shot creation, 3.61. So he's a very kind of he's got a high threat level in terms of his output. Style, he's explosive, pace-driven right winger who thrives on counter-attacks and cutting inside, and he has a very high work rate, so which is really, really good for him. 15.62 touches in the penalty area, and I think that reflects more him playing for a high possession side in Dortmund, who have the volume of the larger volume of the ball compared to other players. Oh, and I've just come back and I've seen we've got our special guest, Mr. James Mitch, in the building. How are you doing, sir? How are you doing?
Not too bad at all, sir. You good?
I am very well, very well. We're living life to the full, and literally, I don't know how much you've caught onto it, but I was just saying to the folks we've got tons of Newcastle United news, and I'm literally just going through the Anthony Elanga news. Obviously, you'll be aware that we went in with a bid. The bid got rejected without counter, meaning that Nottingham Forest didn't even bother saying to us, we don't want a 45 million, here's a 50 million. We wouldn't mind 50 million. They didn't bother saying that. They just said, no, just outright, we're not selling him. So they just
we have a 45. Nope.
They just hung up. They just straight up hung up. So then follow from that, Sky Sports News, Keith Downey said, oh, we've got an alternative. If Elanga doesn't come, then Newcastle looking at Johan Bakayoko, Karim Adeyemi, Mohammed Kudus. And so I'm just breaking it down, kind of comparing these players at the moment and seeing, their own kind of their strengths, their weaknesses, and how they compare to Anthony Elanga. Are they better? Are they worse? Who would people prefer? And we'll kind of, get to the, we'll get to the, when we get to the end, we'll see what people think. So now, obviously, great to have you on, by the way, to get your opinion as well.
Fantastic to be here. Thanks for having me again. I love it every single time I'm on. So
hey, the chat, always enjoy having you. So let me just, did you catch the stuff I said about Anthony Elanga? I think you might have been on before there, right?
I missed the Elanga stuff. You just started on Adeyemi when I jumped.
On Adeyemi, okay. And so really fast, obviously, take-ons. He's got tons of touches inside the penalty box. I think that's more reflection of him playing for a high position team. So strengths, pace, take-ons, shot creation, weaknesses, inconsistent passing, which is interesting, 72.4%. But I don't think, and we're going to look at their teams, I don't think Dortmund are, and we played Dortmund before, I don't think Dortmund are your Man City, passing the ball side to side. They kind of come across as like a transition team who are good in possession as well. So I don't think it's because he can't kick a ball straight why his shot volume is his passing completion is low. So, but yeah, and low on defensive contributions, which is interesting as well. I wonder again if that's to do with the fact that he plays with a really good team. How much do you know about Adeyemi, Mitch, and what's your kind of initial thoughts on him?
I do see him as quite similar to Elanga, to be honest. Obviously, he's less Prem proven, but he's been playing a high level in the Bundesliga. He's got some Champions League games under his belt. I quite like him, but the thing that worries me ever so slightly is he's more, I would say he's even more of a sort of transition player than you would say Elanga is. The reason I'm sort of getting more and more sold on Elanga, not for anything more than 50 mil for me, but the fact he takes set pieces makes me feel that his ability to break a low block could still be quite high, because to take a set piece, you've got to have a good delivery, like a good bit of passing, crossing into the box and stuff like that. So I'm not sure Adeyemi's got that. So this is probably one that I'd like the signing, but I wouldn't want him to be the one for the right wing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. And look, as far as I know, not too many people are beating down his door to kind of get at him. It doesn't mean he's a bad player, but yeah, let's see. And the second option, Mohammed Kudus, 24 years old, West Ham player, obviously plays here in the Premier League. Ghanaian international profile, creative and goal scorer. He's really exceptional at his dribbling. Goal scoring winger, got 0.72 goals per 90, which puts him in a 73rd percentile. I don't know what his overall contribution this year has been. It's been a very poor West Ham side. I think they finished 16th or 17th. I don't know.
I think they finished just above. I think they were 14th, just above. Was it Man United? Who finished 15th? I think it was just above Man United.
Right. So he played in a really poor West Ham side. It sounds like he was doing like an ASM job when he was playing under Steve Bruce.
Yeah, just trying to save everything.
Just keeping everything together. With excellent progressive passes, 5.41. So he's not just a dribbler, but his progressive passing is exceptional. And shot creation at 3.7. Strong in the aerials as well, and dribbling. Versatile box-to-box right winger who also plays in attacking mid. Like I think his preference actually is playing attacking mid through the centre. With a knack for scoring goals and playmaking. So goal scoring is a strength, playmaking, aerial presence. Weaknesses, low take-on success, which is interesting. I partly think that could be because he has to take on, there's a lot of, responsibility on him. And I wonder, again, for some of these players, but again, for him, if he plays in the better quality side, if that take-on success rate improves a little bit as well.
I feel it would quite naturally, to be fair, because in West Ham, there's only really a few players that would get doubled up on, and I think he would be the main one. You kind of shut him down, you stop the progression, you stop the ball getting between midfield and attack a little bit. And I think he would have been the one they would have focused on most this season, because Paquette has had an off season. Bowen's class, but you have to get the ball to Bowen. He's not going to come to the halfway line and dribble past a couple of players to get into the attacking area. So I think teams focused on Kudus to make sure that he couldn't get the ball into your Bowens and into your Paquettes near the edge of the box.
Yeah. And in kind of, I'm gonna ask a question at the end. Actually, I was going to say, how do you think you'll fit into our team? Actually, I'll ask it now. How do you think you'll fit into our team?
I see him very similar to when we had a little discussion about Kulusevski.
Right.
I think his adaptability and the way he plays, where he can play left, he could play central. I mean, can play right, can play central. At a push, he could play left. At probably even less than a push than left wing, he could probably do a job in an 8 as well if we really needed him to. So I really like the profile of Kudus because he's so adaptable, and like he can dribble with the ball and beat players in tight areas, whether it's deep or high up the pitch, but he's also got a good pass on him as well. So I feel like he brings up our ability to break low blocks up massively.
Yeah, and that's born out in the stats. Makes sense. The last one Mr. Johan Bakayoko, who we used to talk quite a lot about in early in the season because of the links, really. 22 years old, played for PSV in the Eredivisie. Prolific winger with a high goal involvement, strong take-ons and passing. His style, technical, possession-based right winger who excels at dribbling and linking play. And I remember talking about him as well. That can go either side, left or right of a player. Really, really good at whipping in crosses, as well as cutting in and scoring, left foot, right foot. High work rate, 15.62 touches in the penalty box. Same as kind of very similar to Adeyemi. Again, playing for one of the top 2-3 teams in the Eredivisie. Again, reflective of that. I think if you play for Forest, for instance, if him or Adeyemi play for Forest, they would have similar touches in the box as what Elanga has. So, kind of bearing that in mind. Again, dribbling, passing, goal contribution is his thing. Weaknesses is lower defensive contributions. I think that's very likely down to the fact that he probably plays for a side that's mainly in possession itself. But if that is an issue, it might be the reason why we haven't really heard about Newcastle pursuing him too much. I don't know how much you know about him, about Johan Bakayoko.
I did quite a lot of looking up on him last summer because the links were heavy. From what I've seen since and from what I learned then, I feel that he's going to be Elanga's replacement if we sign him. I don't think we'll bypass Elanga and go to Bakayoko.
Okay.
I don't think he's of a level where he comes in and starts straight away. And I think that's what the right wing profile will be. It'll be a player who can come in, and as much as Jacob Murphy's done brilliantly, they'll want someone to upgrade Murphy from the start of the season. When we get to Villa away,
I agree.
They want someone who could potentially play straight away from that game.
I agree. Even Goatfather talks about it. Elanga is an Eddie Howe type player. I think another bid or two might go in. Two bids. This one bid has got me. How's Ornstein got it? Like us getting. I know it shouldn't be newsflash, but sheesh, like.
Yeah.
The moment
if we're doing 2 more, they need to be quick. We need to up it. If they say no, we need to up it again. If they're still in and ahhing, we need to turn around and walk away. Because we can't be having another Guehi thing where it's like, that's the guy. Just go and get someone else. I don't think Elanga's good enough or his ceiling's high enough for us to make too much of a fuss about it.
Okay. Kim Cam, there are many Elangans. Oh, no, there are many Elangas in the European leagues, cheaper and more experienced. He is good, but not a game changer. So Kim Cam shares your view there, Mitch. Oh, Bobby Fair, good to see you. God bless you, sir. Good to see you. Big up, Philip. Great to see Mitch again. Hope everyone is doing well. We are well. Good to see you, Bobby. Good to see you. I love it. Do you know what? I loved it. I've clicked. Following Bobby's comments and views and posts. I love it, honestly. Some of his posts and responses are incredible.
Yeah. Got a lot of time for Bobby. He seems a very Marmite character across the Chelsea fan base, though.
Well, people who have an opinion are willing to back it up. Often do, like it, however you see it. Sam. Yes. Okay, we're talking about Scalvini. A lot of people talk about Scalvini. We're gonna talk. I went a lot more in. The plan was, I still will do this, like a more in-depth report on him, scouting report on him, because he is quite exciting. So we're gonna go back to the Scalvini comments, but I know there's tons of stuff on Scalvini. Cy Robson, Elanga is good, but he's not an elite game changer. If you get what I mean, I think I do. I will hold my view on him just before in a moment. But I wanted to even show a clip of other fans talking about our bid for Elanga, and I was going to get people's. I'll talk about it at the end because other people. I don't, not that I necessarily take into account too much about what rival fans are saying, but I do at the same time. It's interesting, people's opinion of Newcastle as well, where they thought we'll go in for a bit more of an illustrious name. So it's always interesting to hear. Kim Cam, Elanga is a promise is a promise and not a final article. If he is that good, he will be snapped up by the big boys like ice cream cone.
We are one of the big boys now, though. That's the thing.
All right. So that's interesting. Yeah. Exactly. And that's how he sees it. Hence why he's putting out all the Instagram posts. I can never read this name. My apologies, but I've been on here at the channel before, and it's great to see you back. I don't know if you can read it, but I can't read it. But it's great to have you. Newcastle buy players. It's good. Just yes.
Yeah.
It's a great step forward. Right. So I'm gonna we've got a few more chats here. Good to see Mighty Mag. God bless you. Evening, Kim Cam. Hope you welcome in, Kim Cam. Aaron Kane. I think the best option from the Prem list is Kudus. To be honest, technically a better player with a higher ceiling than Elanga. So a lot of people are going for Kudus. I think you are as well, Mitch. As well, you're kind of seeing Kudus.
Yeah, that would be the one. I like it's more the profile than the actual player than anything. I like that profile of left winger for us. Like he's similar to Kulusevski. We spoke about Akliush. I think that's more the profile we should be going for rather than your sort of pace merchant kind of thing. I know Elanga's a little bit more than a pace merchant, but someone who's a little bit more technical with the way they break a team down rather than it being more pace and power. Okay.
And a few folks were saying that as well. Now, when I obviously we talked about some of it, we broke it down in terms of Johan Bakayoko, Kudus. Who's the other guy I was talking about? Kudus, Adeyemi. Obviously, quick context, which is what I kind of put into AI when I was talking about, asked them to compare using FBref and kind of keep in mind their league. Obviously, Premier League, Elanga and Kudus are both in the Premier League. Elanga is playing for a better team compared to Kudus at the moment. Highly competitive, obviously requiring versatility and defensive work in the league. Elanga fits Forest's counter-attacking style, while Kudus suits West Ham's physical approach. Well, I don't think he wants to be that physical for too long. Obviously, Adeyemi is at the Bundesliga, fast-paced, suits Adeyemi's explosive style at Dortmund, and it probably explains why I haven't seen too many Premier League teams going for him. I don't know. And finally, Bakayoko, obviously technically demanding league, which is Eredivisie, and in lines of his kind of high possession style. So I kind of wanted to keep that in line in terms of maybe kind of explains where the stats have come from. Obviously, a lot of it is natural ability, tactic, what they're doing, but also in the leagues and the teams that they play for. The other thing I wanted to do in terms of kind of deciding who's the better player in terms of strengths and weaknesses, when we looked at their goal scoring, Kudus and Bakayoko led the other guys in terms of Adeyemi in Elanga in terms of goal scoring, which is interesting. In assist creation, Elanga 0.40, quite a bit, leads the other guys. I think Elanga had 11 assists this season. And I was mentioning to the folks, I don't know if you were here, Mitch, that Elanga can go either way, left foot, right foot, in terms of getting past the player. He's also technically very, very good. And the fact that he's on set pieces for Forest, I don't know if you remember when we conceded to Forest when we played against them at their ground at City Stadium.
Yeah, the Murillo goal.
The Murillo goal, it was Mr. Elanga who gave the cross. So he's in charge of their free kicks, their set pieces, can cross with either foot, can cut in, can play on the left, can play on the right. So technically he's very, very, very good. I was saying to the folks earlier that I feel like there's a misconception that he's just a pace and power merchant. But anyway, that's so he leads on the assists. Kudus leads on the goal scoring. Elanga leads on the assists. Dribbling and take-ons. Bakayoko and Adeyemi are kind of at the forefront of that. Interestingly, obviously, Bakayoko, and both come from the stronger teams in their leagues, which is interesting as well. With that. Defensive work rate, which is Mr. Howe's, while Mr. Howe's looking at these guys, Elanga and Kudus both lead the other guys who, again, probably have to do less defensive work, in my opinion. And the other one is passing and playmaking. Bakayoko and Kudus lead on that one as well. And obviously, the more I kind of talk about Kudus, the more he's not that he is ASM, but I just keep on thinking that he's what is the common theme is that he's played for a poor team, which ASM did for a good while when he played for us, and just so much responsibility was placed on him in doing that. So, but Bakayoko and Kudus lead on that.
His Kudus' assist creation being so low surprises me, to be honest.
Do you know why?
So does the take-ons as well.
Do you know why the assist creation doesn't surprise me? Because they don't have good goal scorers.
Oh yeah, I suppose. So is that actual assist created?
Yeah, the actual assist.
Okay.
I missed on the. It would have been good for me to see like chances created, like kind of stuff, to see how that where that would be, for instance, for him. Again, if he had Isak in front of him, Gordon in front of him, I think that changes.
Yeah, I think that changes the picture quite a lot, doesn't it?
That changes big time. And even with the going back to the kind of the take-ons, ASM was having to do a lot of take-ons for us because the job was just give it to ASM. I don't necessarily think it was to that level for Kudus, maybe, but I just think a lot of the responsibility of making things happen falls down to Kudus when he plays for West Ham, in my opinion. Again, if you're playing against West Ham, if we're playing against West Ham, who's the main threat? Kudus or Bowen? Right?
Yeah, but you've got to get the ball to Bowen. I think that's the thing
exactly.
Where they double up on Kudus when they more Bowen, because if they stop Kudus, Bowen doesn't get the ball.
Exactly. Whereas if you're playing against a Newcastle, Murphy, Isak, Gordon, is it going to be Tonali running from deep? Is it going to be Bruno? Like, it's just a never-ending problem. So you can't just double up on one person. So yeah, that's where I'm kind of thinking of it from. Now, when I was thinking about who fits the system more, and you wouldn't have caught this, Mitch, but I think we're going to carry on with the 4-3-3 system, but I also think we're going to evolve in a 4-2-3-1. I think you was here when we was talking about it, like for Joao Pedro. Yeah. I think we're going to have the number 10. And who fits what more? We're kind of thinking about who the best player is for us. So the playing a 4-3-3 system, as we know, requires width and pace and defensive support, which we have, obviously, with Gordon on the left and Mr. Murphy on the right. So who would fit that particular form is Anthony Elanga, especially with his defensive work rate and his crossing ability and our kind of high pressing style with Eddie Howe. In the 4-2-3-1 formation, if you ask AI, and I want to actually, well, in terms of that 4-3-3 first, Mitch, like, who would you have? Do you think Kudus can do just as good a job as Anthony Elanga, for instance?
If we were set to just play 4-3-3, I'd probably go Anthony Elanga. But where it's going to be more fluid throughout the season, I think we're going to transition between the two just quite naturally in games rather than it being a set formation. I'm more stuck on Kudus. But if we was just going to go back to, I won't say last season because we flipped about a bit last season, like the season before, where we was basically just 4-3-3 all season long, I would probably go Anthony Elanga out of everybody we've mentioned. Yeah,
makes sense. 4-2-3-1 setup for AI is Johan Bakayoko. I disagree. He's high goal because of his high goal involvement, and because of his like technical flair, kind of goal contributions.
I they would have based that all on stats, wouldn't they?
On the stats of their
profile and stuff. Yeah.
So I think Kudus and Elanga would be just as good, in my opinion, in terms of in a 4-2-3-1. That'll be kind of my initial thoughts. Now, when you put all of these together, our system, our setup, the leagues that we play, that each individual player plays in, but also their strengths and their weaknesses, who's the best at what. Asking AI, who do you think comes out on top of all these players? It's Anthony Elanga. And the conclusion for that is Elanga is ideal for a defensively solid 4-3-3, while Bakayoko shines in a 4-2-3-1. and his immediate impact. But Bakayoko's potential. Oh, okay, I got the wrong conclusion. But I got the wrong conclusion on it. But I think it's talking more about the 4-3-3, the core contributions, and the fact that Elanga already plays in the Premier League, so he's already got that kind of experience. Whereas, for instance, like a Bakayoko, Adeyemi, guys, they would need time to settle in. Kudus obviously would be a close second as well with that, because he's in the Premier League already. What's your thoughts? And I don't know, you've already kind of put Kudus on the map there, but before I get to that, Mitch, let me see what the chats are saying. I know there's a few people who are already going to have got comments on who they think is the best now, and I'll give my opinion. Oh my word, I didn't see this. Sometimes with the chat it pauses, so I think, oh, I'm nearly done, and then
chat's gone crazy,
and it just went, it just gone through the roof. So, folks, apologies. Like I thought I've got 3 or 4 more comments. I go, I've got plenty of time to ask Mitch. And I literally asked Mitch, and I was like, but hold on, and just unfrozen. Like 20 messages came up, and you guys are smashing it, folks. Speaking of smashing it, smash the like button. I need to start remembering. Smash the like button, folks. You've been doing absolutely. I forgot to mention, guys. We had the week before, I think we had 17 new subscribers. This week I had 16 new subscribers, and that all comes down to you guys. All comes down to you guys liking, sharing, subscribing. And you guys are just seeing folks in the chat coming in saying, "I didn't know about this program, about this channel. Like it's great. I'm going to subscribe." And it's down to you guys subscribing, coming on. You've been absolutely phenomenal. Got Mighty Mag, good to see you. God bless you. Great to see you, Philip. Great to see you, Mighty Mag. And you've been absolutely phenomenal. I love this chat though. Kim Cam, if West Kebab is not trouble with money, we could get Kudus for 60 to 65 max. So folks don't mind spending the 60-65 for Kudus compared to Elanga, which is interesting. And that will be worth it. He will thrive at St. James's Park. Kudus is a big performer, and he's got that in big capital letters as well. So Kim Cam really loving Kudus there. Sam, worth noting as well, as a few have missed, Ornstein on the Elanga article said we like Semenyo and Kudus. Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, okay. He did mention Semenyo, but they're looking at like £70 million for a Semenyo. Like,
look,
I can't.
I know that I got this on running kind of joke and a bit of a laugh with Terry and KJ from the Football Terrace, where I've talked about how Man United inflated the transfer market by paying 60 million plus for Mbeumo, also for Cunha as well, at 63 million pounds. I said that's what's caused the inflation. They think it's the funniest thing on earth, but now, like, where do clubs get these prices for Semenyo?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, it doesn't come out of thin air, right? If you pay if people refuse to pay the 50, if people in Bremer just say we're paying 50 million for whoever, we're paying 50 million, then Bournemouth can't come back and say, yeah, Semenyo 70 million, right? So anyway, that's just. So I'm not surprised that Bournemouth are coming up with those prices. Honestly. Mighty Mag, cheers, bro. Sorry, my keyboard is... Aaron Kane, I heard PSV wants 17 million for Bakayoko. And the thing is, they wanted 33 million euros only a few months ago. And this is the part where it's my fault. Well, in terms of, I haven't read up on it, but I have heard there's been some inconsistencies with Bakayoko. I don't know what it is or how long they've lasted for, but I wonder if the price has dropped, and there's a reason why the price has dropped. I would love to, if anybody in the chat knows why the price has dropped, I'm not complaining, but I think it will affect, obviously, Newcastle, whatever it is. Sam, Bakayoko isn't a no-brainer. He's off a poor season and would still be a gamble. Aaron Kane, Bakayoko is only, which answers the question. Bakayoko is only 21. I think he can come in and make an immediate impact, to be honest. He's got all the attributes. So a lot of folks there really like Bakayoko. Jam Stasher, good to see you. God bless you. My gut feeling is that the best option at right wing for Newcastle outside the Premier League. Who is it? Did I miss that? I missed that, Jan Stash. Let me know who you...
I think he's just saying he feels it comes from outside the Premier League rather than it being
someone. Right. Okay. Makes sense. Guehi. We'll get back to Guehi. In terms of quality, Kudus. Okay, in terms of quality at his best, this is Sam and potential. Kudus definitely does seem top. It's just a huge gamble for them. Honestly, all of these guys, it's just going up and up and up. Chelsea want 50 million for what's his name, for Madueke.
Crazy.
Well,
the market's just gone crazy. Every time you mention a winger, it's like 50 million.
Right.
Seems to be like the minimum fee for any Premier League winger guy, and it's crazy.
Honestly.
And then we'll sell Harvey Barnes for like 25, and it's like, what the hell's happened?
You reminded me actually of something. I'm going to go back to it because there's a winger that wasn't mentioned either by Ornstein or by Keith Downey, which I'm hoping is because he might be the alternative. And if anyone can guess who I'm thinking of, let me know in the chat. He is from abroad, and I've spoken about him a lot of times. And actually, he's one of the few players that me and Mitch really do agree on as well. Cy Robson, I'd gamble on Tyler Diblin. I think Porto are gambling on him. 25 million euros. But yeah.
25 million euros for Tyler Diblin?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's far from 100 million, isn't it?
That's a gamble worth taking.
We talked about him as well. We have talked about him. But I think Newcastle need to get going in terms of like, we need to put the metal to the
floor.
Put the pedal to the floor. That's it.
Genuinely feels like foot goes to the floor as soon as we get June 30th out of the way.
100%.
I feel like we've got a little bit of money in the bank. I think we're like sharks circling, seeing who's in PSR trouble last minute, and we're going to try and snap someone up with that little bit of money we've got in the bank. If it doesn't work out, we might see like a Trafford pushed through very late. If not, I reckon we ignite that first week in July. I reckon we light that week up. I
agree. And there's been a few people that were talked about as well. Bobby Fairby, thank you for that. Pedal to the metal. Oh, and good to see Big Preach. God bless you. So Big Preach has got his new channel, by the way, folks. Preach, do put your channel link in the chat as well for folks to be able to see and to sign on. He's a big Liverpool fan. Obviously, you guys have seen me doing the rival show with himself and myself, Mitch, and all the guys on the Spurs Kings rival show.
Yeah, Flair Play TV, people, check it out. Flair Play.
Is it? I thought it's Fair Play.
No, it's Flair. Definitely
you better get
Flair.
The name right, Mitch. You better get the name right.
I'm positive. Preach will confirm, but it's either my eyes are going funny or it's Flair Play TV.
I'm going to skip over that comment, Big Preach. You're not getting that much for Isak. Goodness gracious. I just... Jeez, you man are obsessed.
He's referring to 125 as well. We're getting more than 125.
All right. If you think that...
That's crazy.
From when Semenyo is going for 70 million, Preach, like please. Calma. From when I'm seeing 70 million for Semenyo, let's be real. Oh, and it's corrected. Yes, Flair Play. It's my eyes that are going. All right, because the comments are ringing off. Goodness gracious. I do want to say a big hello to Adrian Pickett. God bless you, sir. How did Villa get about that? Well, they haven't yet. Well, it's going to be interesting. They're having to sell a lot of players, but it's good to see Red Devil United. Rich in the channel with a great show on Thursday last week. Absolutely phenomenal. He's doing his morning shows as well about all things about Newcastle, Man United as well. Absolutely. Red Devil United is Elanga 50 million. Is Elanga 50 million? I think we have 20% on that. You do.
That's why it makes sense. That's why it makes sense then.
Someone got my player. Jota and Money Deal. Big Preach. Like, honestly, no.
No,
No, why?
Jota
Why
a
would
money deal for Harvey Barnes.
How about we? Oh, gosh. Anyway, no. Jam Stash Akliush, you got it right.
Yeah,
Akliush is the name that hasn't been mentioned in all of this as well. So that's my oh, that's the one I was keeping in my heart. I was like, oh, I wonder, I wonder if Howe has changed his mind about him. So right, a lot of folks have said Kudus. Mitch is saying Kudus. If obviously we're going to move on from Elanga, I'm going to conclude the section on Elanga with my opinions on him before we move on to speaking about a few other transfer stuff. Um, and that is what I kind of mentioned through the chat, kind of throughout the time, is I don't think. I think sometimes and it kind of goes back to what I was seeing on our right fan rivals talking about Elanga, which is, oh, Newcastle could do better. This is an underwhelming signing, um, um, and it's print. There's better players out there, and it's not just amongst rivals. Obviously, it's around obviously with amongst Newcastle fans as well. And my take on the Elanga, and me personally, in terms of when rivals say our transfer windows are underwhelming, is I'm quite happy about that because every season people say our signings underwhelming, and then the next season they're like, "Oh, Newcastle's track record is so spot on." So I'm quite happy people are saying that, and hopefully it's not guaranteed. I'm not saying it's guaranteed that Elanga is going to get 20 plus goal contributions and stuff like that. Though I hope that's the case. But I like it when fans think that it's going to be underwhelming. It bodes well for Elanga. And I have to remember this is that, and I've heard Sean Casey talk about it, is the reverse halo effect. It's because Man United sold him. And I feel like a lot of people underrate him because Man United sold him, but they forget that Ralph Ragnick, who one of the first people that said Man United need open heart surgery. And I don't know if folks have noticed that when players leave Man United, they tend to do better. Ask McTominay, ask Anthony, ask Elanga. So I think there's a kind of a lot of misconception around Elanga that he's just a pace and power merchant because he plays for Nottingham Forest. It's the role that he's required to do, but they forget that he's the guy that's in charge of the set pieces. He's got, I think, about 5 goals coming off his left foot. He can go left or right. He's got real good technical base. You don't just come into Man United if you're just a pace and power merchant. You don't just play for Man United to do that, regardless of how badly the club are being run at the moment. So I think there's a bit of a misconception around Elanga, and I think also people, and part of the reason why, and I like this kind of view, why Howe likes it, is that after being sold by Manchester United, he's bounced back. And that having that resilience is what you need, especially when you come into a club like Newcastle United, where we need to be resilient. There's not many times we went, for instance, back to games losses this season, except by the end of the season. And we need that bounce back ability, especially with the games that we're going to have and the ups and downs we're going to have. No doubt people are going to be calling for Eddie Howe to get sacked at some point during the season. So, as is the case, and then you get big content creators coming back and saying, "Oh yeah, I always knew, I always knew he'll pull through." So, I like him for that. I'm not saying it's going to be a guaranteed sell. Again, kind of reading that, I'm trying to understand it, how Eddie Howe would see it, how Steve Nixon would see it, and how Andy Howe would see it, and why we've gone back in for him. So, I'm prepared to give him every opportunity in terms of coming out on top for Newcastle United. And if you've got anything final you want to say on this section, on Mitch, like your final thoughts on Elanga, on even Kudus and everything else on that right wing position, really.
To be fair, I would take either of them. I would probably play a little bit more for Kudus, more for the versatility aspect of it. He can cover 3, maybe 4 positions. But if we signed Anthony Elanga for, I would say probably 50 is the max. If we went to 55, okay, where the team are sold on him, then I'm okay with it because I do feel like he is more adaptable than we've seen so far. And we are a good team. We play very well on transition. We've seen games where we've sat in and deliberately played on transition. And just think of Elanga, Isak, and Anthony Gordon flying away from transition against anybody. That's got to be frightening to teams. So, yeah, I'm for either of them. The other thing I would just add is where teams say that our signings are underwhelming. I think it just shows how far we've come.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just shows that where they expect us to be shopping in a higher bracket. And it's like, well, there's not much above the bracket we're looking to shop in at the minute. You're looking at proper established elite stars. If you're shopping above the bracket we're looking at next up. If we need to go higher up, we're looking at the guys that have been doing it in Europe consistently for the last few years. So yeah, it just shows how well we've done over the last 3.5 years to get where we are.
I agree. And, again, what Aaron pointed out, Ralph Ragnick rated Elanga a lot in his attitude. And that was the time when Man United were like absolutely like on a downward trajectory in terms of everything that was happening there. And speaking of, you mentioned teammates, just a reminder, he plays with Isak in Sweden.
Plays with Isak,
right?
Yeah. And there's
If that
a lot of activity on Insta at the minute as well. Even not just them, like Sven Botman commenting on his posts and all kinds of things going on.
Right. So this is what Eddie Howe's thinking about. And he knows that these guys, like, they're friends. Like, this means a lot to him, like, in terms of the camaraderie and people coming together. So anyway, fantastic. We're gonna go into Scalvini in a moment, but just touching on all the other transfers that were, again, because there's been tons of stuff. Joao Pedro is actually advancing. What that means, if that means he's just walking up, he's walking. Maybe just advancing. He's walking up the beach in Brazil. I don't know. I can't wait to have him. If we get him, that's when they'll be advancing.
Actually, before we move on, do you not feel that with the last batch of players, like, you could put Kudus sort of in both of the brackets, like with Joao Pedro and with Elanga? So it could just be two of those three and it would work. Because if we got Kudus and Elanga and we played a 4-2-3-1, one plays in a 10, one plays wide. And then in a 4-3-3, Kudus could potentially do if we're playing a game against one of the lower sides in the league, he could potentially play in the midfield three.
Yes.
Which is kind of what Joao Pedro is going to do.
Yes. I think the only thing that is a possibility, the thing that I think goes in favor for Joao Pedro is a couple of things. He can play more on the left side. So I think Eddie Howe is looking to evolve the number 8 role, the left side of the 8 role. Mm-hmm. I think also there's a possibility that Gordon doesn't stay, or either Gordon or Barnes, one of the two, don't stay, and Joao Pedro will take over on that side. Not playing the exact same way, but obviously do a different role. So I think maybe that's where the favor is. But the other main thing is, I think although Kudus can play in a 9, obviously, I think Joao Pedro is more. I think Eddie Howe sees him more of a natural 9.
Oh yeah, Joao Pedro is a much better 9 than Kudus.
Right. So I think that's what kind of edges it for him. Plus, we've got the Favela brothers in Bruno Gomes and Joe Linton. That's I've got a great thumbnail that I was tempted to use, but I thought they're gonna book me for violence. So I'll just be happy to see it. But you're right. Eddie Howe has to think about that in terms of versatility.
Imagine we did add Joao Pedro and Kudus, man. So we've got the two. Yeah. We've already got Joe Linton and Bruno who just go around smashing people when they feel like it. Joao Pedro's had some ridiculous moments this season.
Yes.
Kudus was like slapping Tottenham players up about 8 months ago. We've just got all that brawlers everywhere.
And you know what I always laugh at is people when we first got Eddie Howe and people saying, "But can he handle big characters? He
Oh, yeah.
handles thugs." I'm like, I don't know. I'm not.
He's the
Like,
mob boss.
raise the mob boss. Like he's Tony Soprano. Like, come on. Like honestly, uh, I think his art. If anything, that's his preference.
Yeah.
Right. Gordon's no shrinking violet.
No, because there was all them videos when he signed, wasn't it, of when he flared up with Cher and stuff like that.
So this is, I think, Eddie Howe, and you are who you attract. So I think there's a bit of that in Eddie Howe. James Trafford, are supposed to be advancing as well. And to be fair, Burnley have got a new under-21 keeper who they see as taking over. Now, there seems to be some squabbling about the transfer fee. I personally think, and this might be just wishful thinking, that the deal's already done, but they're just playing it out. It's kind of lagging. There's a lag in the media. So I think it's already done. They're waiting for July. I think Fabrizio Romano talked about that. They're waiting for July kind of thing to make the sale happen. The player wants to go. The players want to go for a year as well.
Yeah. That's the one I think that if there's no, like where we're circling around, if there's no like PSR deals for us to steal someone on the cheap from someone struggling, I think that's the one that gets pushed through before the start of July. If we get to say sort of Saturday, Sunday, and nothing's looking likely, I think they just announce it, push it through, get it in this year's books. And then first week of July, I genuinely think we light the window up.
And sometimes that's actually for the selling club. So if Burnley need to sort out their PSR,
they still do apparently.
They still do, right? So they need to pronounce it for. So yeah, you're right. And finally, Mark Guehi. Now, to be honest with you, I stopped thinking about Mark Guehi a long time ago, but the only reason I've raised an eyebrow is the whole media campaign is Liverpool interested in Mark Guehi, he's going, and then you had this, I forgot who mentioned it, but there's a couple of media outlets saying he's one's game time. This is and reminding me, this is World Cup. Yeah, he's not here to be third. People, you just sit on the bench. It's all right. He'll get some game time. They're talking about, people talk about like Mark Guehi, like, they'll have Konate, they'll have Van Dijk, and he'll, Mark Guehi will be on the bench. He can do 20, 30 games. They're talking about Mark Guehi like he's a 21-year-old trying to break.
It, yeah.
Like he in his mind, and I think he's not. I don't think he's delusional to think this. I think he's absolutely correct to think he's been a senior pro playing first team football for the last 3 to 4 years. He's captained Crystal Palace for about 2-3 years, and he's captained them to the FA Cup trophy. Not many captains can say that, to their first trophy. He's also playing for England whilst playing for Crystal Palace.
Yep.
He's not some 21-year-old trying to break into the first team.
Mate, I was watching something earlier and I was thinking, have I missed something here? Because they were talking about him as like a rotation defender. I was like, what? That people were saying, would you take Mark Guehi? I was like, what? What? Are you mad? It's either some people say stuff to get clicks and views and content, or that I've lost my mind, because he's top class. I understood part of the discussion, because I think part of it was someone said, if you're talking about the best centre-backs in the league, he's not getting a mention. But then it's like, okay, but there's only really 2 or 3 that you mentioned when you speak about that. And then he's in the next bracket down.
And people tend to talk about centre-backs in so-called top 6 clubs, right? And that's why they forget about Guehi. They forget about your Nathan Collinses and all those other type of players. And so just because they're not meant, when people say, because we don't talk about them, therefore they're not good, I think that's a wrong way of kind of analysing the player.
100%. Think about it. Out of everybody in the league, I would say, potentially apart from Arsenal, he's pretty much starts for every other club, I would say.
Do you think Liverpool
maybe, but I'm not.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on Konate. I think he's good when he's next to Van Dijk.
The key is when we see him when he's like for France.
Yeah. Do you know, like when we had Jonathan Woodgate?
Right.
And when Jonathan Woodgate played, Titus Bramble was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, I think
He was
Konate's got a
Marcel
bit of that
Desailly.
about him. Yeah.
He was Marcel Desailly when he was there.
Yeah. So I think there's a bit of that about Konate, because when Van Dijk's not there, he's just not the same. And you don't get that with a Mark Guehi. He's the guy that holds it all together. So if you pair him and Van Dijk could be out and the defense will still look very similar and there'd be a lot less fall off. Whereas if it's Konate and Van Dijk's out, they're easier, much easier to get at.
Do you think, and I heard this, and I'll finish on Guehi in a moment, but do you think, because the other opinion I heard was that after the kind of this news around Liverpool, Guehi and him game time and all this, and Newcastle are still in the mix, the feeling was that like Newcastle are just being treated like a third pick from Guehi's perspective, and we shouldn't have that. We should just move on. We shouldn't even be kind of in that kind of allows us to be in that sort of bracket type of thing, and that Guehi and his camp are messing us about. What do you think that's the case? Like, do you agree with that?
Like, from the outside looking in, it looks that way.
Okay.
And as much as I would like to just say we should walk away, that's very naive, because he's still a very, very good centre-back and he improves us instantly. If he's saying, look, I want to wait a little while, Liverpool might come in, it's kind of like fair enough. If he's then saying, actually, let me see what Crystal Palace is saying before I make a decision, at that point, if he said that, if that's a thing that Newcastle are feeling, that's when we walk away. Because the fact of the matter is, Liverpool have just won the league. Historically, they're a much bigger club than us. At this point in time, they've got a much bigger pool. So if there's a hint of Liverpool coming in for him and he wants to hear it out, then I'm kind of okay with that. But if he's actually then saying, let me see what Crystal Palace have got to say before I make a decision, it's like, okay, you don't want to be here. So, no thanks. We'll move on to someone else.
And I'll also add to that is, he stayed at Palace. Like, when he could have kicked off last year, he didn't. He stayed and he captained them to the FA Cup. Like, he to me comes across as a man who knows his value, and he's not willing to be shaken for it. Maybe that's why Eddie Howe likes him so much. And I think if he does choose, if he put it this way, if he does choose Newcastle, he's 100% with Newcastle. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he's not looking to do, put me on the release clause, like, you know, Sheshko is allegedly trying to do for Arsenal type of stuff. Like, he's there fully. So, speaking of defenders, Scalvini. Now, I did go a little bit more in depth on him in terms of a scouting report, and we've got a few comments already that I started about him. Aaron Kane, Atlanta don't want to sell, but I'd be throwing 45 million at them for him. He had his ACL, which we're going to talk about, injury, but so did Tino, and he's been nothing but a success. He has. Kim Cam, Scalvini's class, and we will be lucky if we can get him. Our team will be much better. Kim Cam also says, if we have Scalvini, we will have two. For a minute, I thought like OnlyFans. I'm like, no, is that okay?
That being in capital letters is wild. It just throws off the whole context of.
I don't even know what that means. Too offensive.
I think I think it's just two of the best Italian.
Okay.
I don't know how you caps lock that in the middle of the sentence for no reason.
Kim Cam, I nearly didn't read that. Two of the best. Okay, of the best young Italian players. By the way, I hope you like my thumbnail. I know if you guys saw the Italian. You know, okay, I'll show you. Of the players, and if we get him, Pedro will have the best Brazilian midfielder. I am dreaming of a change. I like that. Sam, the resale on Scalvini could also be ridiculously high should we want to move on in a few years. Do you know what? That's interesting. Aaron Kane, in my opinion, Huijsen couldn't lace Scalvini's boots. His injuries have dampened his progress, but he's a better CB in my opinion. I really think Huijsen was carried by Zabani in some games. So I've got a few. Again, the show originally was structured all around Scalvini until all this other stuff started coming out. But let me go through briefly a scouting report on Scalvini, because I've maybe watched I can't remember, to be honest, me watching the game on him. But
before you go,
yes, sir.
Have you watched any of like scouting videos of him at all?
Yes, but not full-on games. Yeah.
Where I've watched him a few times over the last few years, he, to me, like the way he plays, not quite his build, but the way he plays football is very Sven Botman. And like, I didn't even think there was a chance of this guy. This goes in the Tonali bracket of transfers. Like, this is ridiculous if we pull this off, by the way. He's so good, and his ceiling is ridiculously high.
You know, when people talk like that, I'm like, damn.
Yeah. This is one that if we do it, every other team is going to be like, oh, we could have done that. We potentially could have done that.
We potentially could have done that. I went into a bit of depth on this. I don't know how much time we're going to have, but we'll do my best. So I've done two things. This is a scouting report from when Scalvini was 17. So just the year before he broke into the first team. I like to get these reports because I feel like I get the raw understanding of who the player is. And I've got a scouting report from 23-24, the year he got injured. But folks remember that he got injured in, I think it was June, so coming towards the season. So he's already played and he's already kind of had a few things going on. So I want to touch on both reports, and there's actually a few video clips from them as well, speaking exactly what you were saying, Mitch, around him as well. So I'll go briefly through it. Do intervene when you want, Mitch. I can't see the screen, so do let me know if you want to like touch on like kind of like say expand on something. Do let me know. So this is from I think it's Usley King, the gentleman that I usually read for scouting reports as well. Now, again, this is from when he was 17 years old. So he was 21 years old, so about 3 years ago, the year before he broke into the senior team, Scalvini. And just for folks that aren't aware, he's played for the Italian senior team 8 times already by this stage. He would have been more had he not been injured as well. So he's already played at every level in terms of the Italian team. So it comes from really, really good pedigree, currently obviously at Atalanta, and has obviously played at all levels at Atalanta as well. So this is when he was at the under 17 tournament at the time as well. And they've kind of given us a breakdown. Okay, I need to make sure you guys can see that. You can.
Yep.
And the first thing they say is a style of play, complete, elegant, dominant centre-back, comfortable to play at right centre-back and left centre-back. And it kind of, you see in progress, actually, he can play in a DM role as well. A modern defender who combines strength and good technique and passing, perfect mix of pure defender and ball-playing defender. So you compared him to Sven Botman. A few people are kind of comparing to Maldini. You'd be interested to see what the scouting report is. It also gives another profile for him, who they compare him to. Perfect mix of pure defender and playing defender. Player with great body mass ratio. We talked about 6'4", player strength, power, stamina, and natural fitness, who feels comfortable in contact situations. So comfortable that is maybe where the injuries are coming from a little bit. Good agility, pace, and coordination for a player his size. He does not dive into tackles. Great at find. That's the one, right?
Does not dive into tackles. That is the one. I love players that only slide when they're covering someone else.
Right. Great at finding passes through both the first and second line of pressing. You'll see in the short clips we'll show you guys. Known for his composure, positional sense, confidence. He's very good in 1v1 defending, understanding of the game, and above average technical capacity. Very good vision and passing skills when it comes to breaking the lines, and with laser-like passes. Often wins the ball back by out-muscling players thanks to significant upper body strength, which this is where it kind of reminds you of the Sven Botman style. Tenacious tackler, marauds forward, extremely dominant in the air, indirect set pieces, tactically astute, and it shows him here. Scalvini shows his ball playing ability with great line breaking passing. It gives you a couple clips here. Again, this is him at 17 years old, folks. He's already doing, and this is what's interesting here. Where is it? So he's best suited as playing central defender in a 4-3-3. right here.
Nice.
Imagine that. I think it sounds like Eddie Howe knows what he's doing. So I wanted. There's a clip here. Can you guys see it? Let me make sure you guys can see. You guys can see it. This is him at 17, folks. And you're speaking, Mitch, about seeing clips of him. I was watching this one, and they really rely on him, even at 17, under 17 level, to almost be that playmaker, from lying deep, from that kind of deep position. And you see how good he is at line breaking passes as well. And this translates into the senior team as well. And you'll see that on his FBref stat. So let me show you guys. Let me play this clip here. So you see him rolling forwards. Easy. There you go there. Watch. Collects the ball. Very cool, calm under composure. Now you're going to see there's a clearance here that happened. There's something that happened. There's a clip coming up here, which shows you just how calm he can be as well. Again, winning his duels. There was a part I wanted to show. Has it gone past it? It shows a really good part. Let me see if I can get it again. Again, that's him winning the ball in the air. There was a part I wanted to see. Is it here? Again, outside of the foot with the right foot, setting off the attacks. Yeah, it's coming up. Again, winning the ball really, really high up again. You see him collecting there the ball with his right foot. Was that the one I saw? There was a skill he done. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's you. He did a skill. Did I miss it? He did a really, really good skill. Is it here? Again, collecting the ball in the midfield. Very, very comfortable. He literally has number 6 shirt on his back. So it lets you know that he can't play that position. Let me see if I'll get it. Interceptions there. I think it's coming up. With his right foot. Oh, no. That bit was shown. There was a skill that he done. And I said, oh, okay. I wonder if I'll get it. Again, natural, looking up the ball. Where are you? There was a bit that he'd done. I was like, is it here? Again, interceptions. Is it here? I may have missed it. I thought I had it. No. Again, long range passes, straight up diagonals, really good on the switches. And this is him at 17.
Oh, I think Phil's camera's gone. I have no control.
Have you not heard me all this time?
No. You was on. You literally just dipped out for about 10 seconds.
I was like, I was in full flow.
Yeah, no, you was on, and you dipped out for about the last 10 seconds before you jumped back on.
Okay.
Oh, what's going on? Is he coming back? Yeah, I'll talk a little bit on Scalvini. I've watched him. Oh no, we've got Phil back.
No, go on.
Just going to say I've watched him a fair few times for Atalanta, and these clips don't really show what I was saying previously about the Sven Botman thing, but he's very much like he's a front foot aggressive defender. So he won't just try and hold the striker up. He'll try and win the ball as early as possible and then quickly get us on the front foot. But then when he's got the ball at his feet, he does what I completely forgot Sven Botman did. Like when he came back and you watch how long he waits and how much he lets the striker close him down by picking a pass, he very much does that same thing. But then he's also got a little bit of the Fabian Schär mentality of wanting to drive forward ever so slightly or actually wanting to play a 30, 40-yard pass, whereas Botman only does it if he kind of has to. Botman's he more likes the line breaking along the floor into the striker or the centre midfielder, whereas Fabian Schär likes the the what you'd sort of say the Hollywood pass. Fabian shares more of a fan of, and I think Scalvini's got a little bit more of that in him than Sven Botman.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've got a video on that 23-24 season, but quick scout report from 2023. Again, this is now him at, what would have been? He would have been like 18, 19 years old.
18, 19. It's worth noting as well that this season we're talking about now, he played left centre-back, and then the following season he played right centre-back.
Yeah, I think he played about six games in Serie A and a couple of games in competitions as well. Really, really good. So Scalvini starts as a centre back, being able to play either on the right or the left, as you mentioned, Mitch, as well. He stands out for his huge physicality and forcefulness in his defensive solidity. Kind of got that Sven Botman-esque style about him. Modern defender, combining defensive toughness and dominance with high technique and elegance. So that's again transpired into like him. That composure, the elegance from him being 17 has now gone into his senior debuts as well. So Scalvini has a great ability to filter progressive passes, finding free men and midfield to project his team into attack, which is exactly what Eddie Howe really wants. And there's tons of stuff there. I'm only because I'm running out of time, but there's a part where they compared him to Gerard Piqué.
Oh, okay.
As a modern player as well. So, which I thought was interesting, but I encourage folks to read it. Let me see this quick. There might be something from. Let me see if you guys can see it. Yeah, you can.
Yep.
This is from the season that's just gone. In his senior debut for Atalanta as well. You get a little take on him. 6'4" is absolutely massive, and he's actually plays. Like I said, he plays in a number 6 role for them as well. And you can see him, you see those one-on-ones down the flanks. He's very, very comfortable in those situations. And you have to be, because we play so aggressive. So does, in terms of our front line, so do Atlanta. Atlanta are very aggressive front-footed football team. So he has that in him. And this is, again, you see those challenges there. He hasn't got a bad shooting technique either.
Yeah, and I love that. I love having a centre. As much as it doesn't really, it's not something you look for in a centre back, but I love a centre back that's able to score from 20, 30 yards out.
Oh gosh, it's pausing on me. Here we go. Exactly, because you got someone that can unlock that when you trying to get.
That's a lovely little finish.
Lovely shit, lovely passing shot there. He doesn't want us to see it. He doesn't want us to see it. Lovely header as well. And you see, because he also does really good switch balls as well. I was hoping it will show some of those. Lovely saving challenges. You see how aggressive is the centre of the park there?
He wants to win the ball at the earliest opportunity. It's not just slowing the attack down. It's as soon as he sees a chance to win it, he's going for it.
Right there. At this. You see him catch the ball again. Wow.
This is him attacking, by the way.
This is him attacking. And you know Eddie Howe's watching that thinking, oh yeah, this is you, innit? You're the one.
That's against us, isn't it?
No. We
was that not them. That looked like Miguel Almiron?
When did we play them? Did we play them?
I don't know, but it looked like it.
I think that's Udinese.
Whoever it was runs a lot like Miguel Almiron.
To be fair, you did say Flair, and I was like, okay, no, it's fair for things. I think he's fantastic. He's got an air of Dean Huijsen around him as well, and a few folks are talking about him in the chat as well. But look, the situation at the moment. This is what I was going to ask actually. So I was going to actually mention 2 things actually. This injury record of his, which is a big thing. So let me make sure I show you guys and get your take on this, Mitch, and everybody else chip in, because there's a reason why he's sort of available, why he's come up in the first place, and that is the injury record, which is up to folks to decide whether how much of a risk it is. So, I asked AI in terms of how much of a risk it is between one being low risk for Newcastle to pick him up, and 10 being, oh, this is really high risk. Now, AI I think is 7 out of 10, which is very, very high risk. I disagree, but it's interesting to note. So he's 21 years old. He suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury, ACL, which is what Livramento had, Sven Botman has had, tear in his left knee on June the 2nd, 2024. So last year, literally like this, the same time this year, during Atlanta's final CRI match. This is the interesting part. So this is an 84th minute. So ACL injuries take 9 to 12 months to recover, right? This guy returned to Scalvini, to the Atlanta squad on November 2024, just 5 months. That's insane. At
crazy.
20 days post-injury, appearing as a substitute against Parma and Milan.
That's like only Wolverine heals quicker than that, by the way. Like, that is ridiculous.
Now, he went back injured, but it's not because of his ACL. He had a shoulder injury, a partial dislocation in December 2024, so literally the following month, during a training during training. So he had to go off again. He returned to the bench for matches against Lazio and Roma in early 2025, so January, about 2 months later, but has not started games since that time. He's done 6 games in the Serie A this year, with 2 or 3 games in cup competitions. So he's expected to return to full training in 25-26. If you go on transfer market, he's got a whole load of other kind of injuries, but these are the main injuries that he's had. So the other injuries, like typical football injuries, that you're out for a couple of weeks.
I don't even think it was that. I think all of the other ones, apart from one, were like 1 game. He missed 1 game.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's one where he missed 2 games, and that's it.
Exactly. And so he's, personally, I don't think it's that much of an issue. He's not, people saying injury prone, and I think Anthony Mango said there's a difference between injury prone and having a serious injury.
Yeah,
I think he's had a serious injury and he's just recovering from that. Yeah. Hence the difference.
And I think the speed of his injury is actually, it makes it basically not speed of his recovery shows you that he's not injury prone. He hasn't broke down again with the same ACL. No. He's literally recovered in 5 months, and he's been unfortunate enough to get a shoulder injury after that. So it shows that he's not in injury. We've had injury prone players. They recover, and it takes them stupidly long to recover, and then they break down again within 2 games. That's not what's happened to this guy.
No, I agree. And this is the part that I wanted to go further in terms of what you think Newcastle's approach might be and what's going on here. So we're looking for a centre back, obviously. It was reported that, as I mentioned earlier, it was Mr. Moretta, from Tier 1 journalist from Italy, who did an interview saying Newcastle United had the most very interested in Scalvini. Napoli have been as well, but not as much as Newcastle have. And he sort of said, look, the next few days are going to be very, very important, which was interesting to read and to see. Fabrizio Romano followed up by saying, and he does it in Italian, and you kind of have to break it down, and it's crazy, but essentially saying Newcastle is a Newcastle dream of Scalvini, but it's meant to be like it can be taken 2 ways. Either Scalvini dreams of Newcastle or Newcastle dream of Scalvini. But in the context of the whole situation, you're more likely to read it as Newcastle dream of Scalvini. It's been followed up by, I don't know how good these sources are, which is now Atalanta are saying, well, first of all, they were saying via Moretta is that it will take an offer, they're not looking to sell their star player. It will take an offer, it will take, the last sentence is, it will take an offer, a significant offer for them to really think about it, which is kind of saying We don't want to sell, but if you do want to put something there, we won't say no. It's been followed up today by Tutu. Is it TUTTO? The article in news saying that, oh no, under no circumstance are we going to sell him, type of thing. So it's unclear at the moment, is what I'm saying, in terms of what's happening. Lots of fees have been banded about. My initial thoughts were, when I was watching the Moreta interview, was, and I was trying to work out where all this is about, because it's obviously not Newcastle leaking this information. Like, we're in Newcastle. This is an Italian journalist. Like, we don't gain anything by speaking to this guy and telling him. We could gain by saying, trying to put pressure on Atalanta, but I don't think it's our style. No. So I think it's Atalanta that went to Moreta to explain this and to say this. But why are they saying it? Is it because they need to sell, and it's just them kind of putting it out there that, hey, Newcastle, and people like to use Newcastle's name a lot in trying to either players trying to get their new contracts, or teams trying to up the offers. Maybe Napoli is actually the serious contender, but aren't really moving, and so by putting Newcastle's name into it, it gets things moving. I don't know. But if Newcastle are interested, there's a lot about it that makes me think that Newcastle are interested, because he's a high risk signing, like Livramento was. Like, everybody was saying to us, yes, Livramento is super, super talented, but what's going to happen after this ACL? And so we took a real high risk and paid a lot of money for him to do it. Hence, and it kind of was an opportunity for us. So we didn't have to battle your Liverpools and your, Man Cities for him at the time, because they didn't want to take a risk on his ACL. And so some clubs would look at the ACL now for Scalvini as a risk, which is an opportunity for us, because we're like the ACL specialists. we'll take that risk. So that part of me thinks that we are in for him. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on the whole situation, and when you first heard about it, and like how credible do you think all of this is, really?
Well, the initial journalist that broke it, I believe, is quite credible.
Yes.
So I don't think he would be the kind to be used as, like, let's drive up the fee type of guy, or help him get a new contract or anything like that, which leaves me hopeful. And I'm going to say this off the back of hating the way Chelsea do business, so I'm going to apologise to Bobby Fairview for that. But Chelsea do this thing where one team's in for someone, they're going to pay a certain amount. Chelsea just go in and go, yep, we'll pay you more and give you more money to sign. If it is just Lazio that are in for him, we do exactly that, because we'll have deeper pockets than Lazio and be able to give him bigger wages. And I genuinely feel that this is the guy who is going to be looked at as one of the best centre-backs in the world in a couple of years. If he goes to Lazio, I feel this guy will be Van Dijk's replacement when he retires from Liverpool. He's a special, special player.
Yeah.
And if we're not in for him, then we're doing something wrong. Even if this link is the first Newcastle have heard of this guy, which I find impossible to believe, they should be looking, thinking, well, we've been linked. We might as well make a bid and see what happens.
So you're quite like confident that it is genuine, that Newcastle are interested in Scalvini.
I think everything fits the MO. It's like, it's a little bit out of the blue it's like come from nowhere, which happens not regularly, but with the bigger name signings, like your Tonali's, like Bruno when he came in, like Isak, even Harvey Barnes. One of the first times Eddie Howe was asked about Harvey Barnes, he turned around and said, no, there's no truth in the transfer. He was sat in the back room, like pretty much already signed the contract. There was loads of talk about Ekatike and Joao Pedro before, and then a couple of days later, Isak signs. Yeah. We were talking about, was it Barella or someone like that? And then all of a sudden, Tonali signs. This is what we do. And like you said with Livramento, coming off the back of a big injury, this is the kind of gamble we take. And I don't even think this one's a gamble. We could pay up to 40, 50 million pounds for this guy, and I don't believe it's any way, shape or form gamble. We could sell him on for plus 30 million pound over that in a year. Or we could kick on again, get Champions League, look like we're really challenging, and have one of the best centre-backs in the world in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. And I saw a post again, I think from Sean Casey, where Atlanta actually bought a defender recently or last year or two. So that maybe they've always planned that this could be the case, that they could move him on. I'm wondering, and what I'm hoping for when I'm thinking about the leak is that, because they keep on saying 40 to 50 million. I wonder if there's agreed, or maybe this is like the positive side of me where I'm saying, maybe a fee again is probably been agreed, and they're just playing it out in the media where they're saying, "No, Newcastle are interested, but we'll never give it to them unless they're really going to give us some ridiculous price." But the price is agreed, which is probably the ridiculous price. So if they do sell him, they'll say, "Oh, see, the only reason we sold him is because they gave us this ridiculous price." And the guy's had an ACL. He's had an ACL. Like, come on, guys.
It almost sounds like, did you see the Eubank interview where they were asking about the money he got for the Ben fight? No. The Turkey Al Sheikh called him up and said, "How much do you want for the Ben fight?" So he thought of a number and added a silly amount on top. And he was like, "I've asked for this ludicrous number." And he instantly said yes. And I was sat there thinking, damn, I should have went for more. And I think this is what's happened to Atlanta. If it's the case that we've come in and said, "How much do you want?" and they've gone, "Right, let's say something silly. Let's say £45 million. We've just gone, "Yep." And now they're sat there like going, "Oh, what's just happened here? We've just agreed to £45 million that quick."
Well, you actually clicked my mind. I've heard that we've actually, when Dean Huijsen was available, we actually triggered his release clause, hence why we spoke to him in the first place. So 50 million, I think we're willing to spend that. I think the big money, and it's always been reported that the big money we're looking to spend, right wing forward or right wing, and the RCB. So it's not beyond the pale that this 45, 50 million, whatever it is. I'm laughing because I'm thinking people are going to be so underwhelmed when they hear us. Elanga, I can't believe it. Scalvini had an ACL. Man, this transfer from Newcastle. What are they doing? I thought they were a big club. I can't wait.
Mate.
I'm thinking,
if anybody says that about this guy, they've never seen him play or they don't know football.
They'll say the same thing they said for Livramento. Like, they'll say, "I can't believe." And I'm happy. I'm happy if that's the case. I'm hoping that, and it's interesting how these things are happening just before this end of June, July deadline. It's like it's all prepping up now. I don't know if you saw it, or you wouldn't have seen it, but it was reported by, I think it's Matt Hardy. Newcastle are looking to prepare a new contract offer to Isak. It's going to break our wage structure. He didn't say what it was, but he's announced it. Also, Al Hilal approached Bruno Gomes, he rejected them and said, "No, I'm going to stay at Newcastle," which is super interesting. And I'm like, it's good. I was happy about both. But I'm thinking, when are owners going to act like we're in multi-club ownership? Like,
to be fair though, Bruno is the one that's like, well, Bruno and Isak are the two that this point they cannot do it. They like destroy all of the good work they've done it with the fan base.
Yeah.
Because like Bruno is the fan favorite and Isak's the jewel in the crown.
Yeah.
For me, there's 2 jewels in the crown and the second one is Sandro Tonali.
Yeah.
But like they just can't. There's no way. If Bruno left, there would be like uproar.
Yeah.
It would be like the trophy parade, but people would be ripping buildings down and burning stuff because like he's gone from being our best and most important player to still being one of the best and most important players, but he's also a cult hero at the same time, which is a very rare thing to find in a player who's just that good and a cult hero.
Yeah, I agree. And even if for whatever reason Isak wasn't going to get a new contract, like say he had a bad season, like Bruno will still get a contract extension, like a contract renewed. So it just all makes sense anyway.
Yeah.
But let's see what folks are saying in the chat. I'm very excited about what's happening. Let's see what's happening in the chat.
Yeah.
Josh Toon Army Philly, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Hey there, Philip. Hope you are well, my friend. I'm living life to the full. Living life to the full. The mighty win. That clip was preseason friendly against. Oh, it was a preseason. When did we? Oh, I was there. I actually watched that game. I should have paid attention. I actually did. I should have known. I actually watched that game. I'm actually going to go see the preseason game against Espanyol. I'm hoping to get the other game. Who is it?
Oh, you're going up for the Stella Cup?
Yeah.
That falls on, there's something on. I've got something on that weekend. I can't remember
8th
what
and
it
9th
is.
of August.
Yeah. I'm away. I'm away on holiday. I'm as far from Newcastle, but still in the UK as I possibly could be. I'm right down in the southwest.
Fair play. I went last year and I had a great time. Doing the 2 days over in the Stella Cup. So
I took the other guy that's on my pod on a Sunday who runs it with me. He's a West Ham fan. I took him up last year, and yeah, it was a really good day.
I took my mate. He's an Arsenal fan. He's like, bro, like it's proper good. Andy, have a look. Alexandre Ribeiro at Lille. Yeah, he gets. I've seen them a good couple of times. I watched Lille a good couple of times because of their left winger Hakan. I forgot his full name. He's from Iceland, I think, as well. They've got so many players. I've watched them there. So yeah, he's a decent player. 25 years old. He's a good healer. That's like Wolverine, like you said, like Scalvini's Wolverine. Not 5 months and he's back at it. Jam Stasher, there are players you walk away from a gamble, and then there are players you put it all in the middle for. Yeah. And Scalvini is one you put it all in the middle for.
Maybe not all in when we're looking at potentially spending £150 million to £200 million on players. Like we don't want to spend that much on him, but we just pay what they want. This is one of them that you don't even look at the price tag. You just take it up to the till and they go, it's this much, and you put your card in and you pay it.
Yeah, I agree. Andy Scalvini. Scalvini and Bastoni are two of the best Italy centre backs. Wouldn't disagree. Kim Cam, Eddie Howe has always handled injury-prone players well. His own career ended with an injury, so it doesn't bother. So it doesn't bother him. That's a good thought, actually. He really is like a player's manager, Eddie Howe.
Yeah.
Andy, him and Scamacca had ACL injuries and returned very early. We need to get some of them Italian doctors up in here. Aaron Kane need Tonali to get on the phone to scout. Hence the thumbnail. I think I wouldn't be surprised if part of these negotiations are being, how do I say it, translated by Tonali.
Yeah. And while we're on thumbnails, I think everybody agree you've got some of the best thumbnails in YouTube, man. Every single time another one pops up. There was one the other week, I think it was Eddie Howe chiseling a frozen Joao Pedro.
Yeah.
That one, I was like, yeah, that's cold. I love that.
We'll bring it back. And this is for this is a scene from the Italian Job. I just think it makes sense. There's a lot of interesting parts where Joao Pedro, Bruno Gomes, Joe Linton. I think this means to players to have people that they know.
Oh yeah.
Elanga, Isak, Scalvini. If Scalvini is thinking, and someone mentioned it, Italian players don't like to leave Italy, but they see Tonali.
Thriving as well after all the support he got from the gambling ban.
Right.
Someone similar culture when they come over.
Big time support. Big time. The guy was banned for a year and these guys love him. And look at him now, straight back into the Italian squad. And his name holds weight over there. Yeah. He was the captain of the Rossoneri, and he's still doing it.
He was the guy. He was the
guy.
Yeah.
Still is. So
what do they call them? Milanistas? Is that what they call them over there? Yeah. He was the Milanista.
Exactly. So we can't underestimate that. It's not just we're just coming in and saying, we're promising Newcastle's a great place. You got someone that can tell him, bro, if you want to be great, come over here.
And it works both ways. Eddie Howe's got someone who can feed information about the player. Has he got good attitude? What's his training like? Stuff like this and stuff like that.
Is it like
Especially with
yeah, exactly. Aaron Kane needs Nani to get on the phone to Scalvini and show him the Bridges and Greg's. Yeah, exactly. Weatherspoons as well. Aaron Kane, the Italian journalist, did break the Tonali news. To be honest, they did. It was Moretta, and there's going to be a whole wave of news coming in now. A whole wave, honestly.
I genuinely feel the next at the end of the next 2 weeks. So by the end of the first full week in July, we will pretty much be done. And I'm talking transfers, contracts, everything. I don't think there's going to be any playing around this year.
Do you reckon
we might see a few loans or stuff, or the odd transfer very late on? But I think our bulk, like the main stuff, in how many weeks is that from now? I reckon that's 3 weeks from now. We'll be done. That's it. I don't think we'll be looking to go deep into July. We won't be looking to do too much at the end of the window unless something really interesting comes up.
I hope that we get that. Then we have a whole load of shows to do. I'm going to have to start doing 3-hour shows and breaking these players down. Sarah Robson, isn't Moretti the journalist that reported that Isak transferred to Newcastle? If it was, you've got to think that there's no smoke without fire. Is it Moretti? I know it's Moretta. But I forgot his full name. You know when you see him coming up, Moretta. I don't know who broke the Newcastle news first. Was it him? I can't remember. I thought was it Ornstein? I remember someone saying like on the plane and that. I'm like, right, that happened quick. I just remember pictures of the plane. I'm like,
yeah, we're very good at plane watch though. To be fair, Newcastle fans and plane watch isn't a league thing.
But the plane watch didn't even see this one coming. Like I just saw the image. Like I didn't even see that coming. And Goat Father, we will find out next week. Can't wait. I look forward to it. Andy, Atalanta have Champions League football. They do, so do we. And by the way, I didn't mention he's on 10K, by the way, at Atalanta. It's safe to say that Newcastle can...
times that by 12, 13, 14.
Right. Like, we can really... Which maybe Atalanta might not fancy to do. There's something in it. I personally believe they spoke to him. They did speak to Moretta. They chose to speak to their Ornstein of Italian football for a reason. They wanted the people to sit up and listen and take it serious. And so here we go. Andy, Atlanta have Champions League football. Sorry, America. El Capo. Here we go. Go Romano in the #1 agent agitator. He's heard it from the agent's mouth. He bumps the speculation and gets paid on the agent's deal. He does. Fabrizio, I said it like I know for sure, but yes, I think I tend to agree with that point of view. And I think there's a few other agents that do it as well. However, it doesn't mean that it's not true either. So that's why we have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, he does drop certain news though, but he doesn't really give. With his here we goes, he's very much a tapping merchant, isn't he? Like he rarely gives here we goes to stuff that's not that stupidly close. I think I've only ever seen a few that have gone back. I think he gave Pedro a here we go to Newcastle before he signed for Brighton. But yeah. I don't think he's had loads of those. Whereas most of the others will say a lot of stuff and then 10% of it comes off.
And what's interesting, the Scalvini news didn't come to him. It came to Moretta first. So, and he's Italian. So I don't know. Like, I wonder why that is. Like, it's interesting to see that. Andy, Philip, you should look at Mosquera, Valencia. I think I did a profile on him before. Ribeiro, Lille, and Ordenes. I haven't done Ribeiro. Maybe I have done Ribeiro. Maybe I have. But I did look at Ordenes as well because he's been linked to us as well. But yeah, good players. I think I saw Ordenes play against Man City as well. But good call there, Andy. Janista Wijnaldum, good evening, sir. God bless you. Couple more. I'm going to look for that preseason game now. Yeah, it's out. It's on the Newcastle. It's nearly like tickets are flying, honestly. and I'm not surprised. People want to see good players play, and we're hosting. Who would have thought we could host our own cup competitions? I think I was talking to you before. Like we were struggling to get York to play us for a friendly before. Like, sheesh, those are desperate days. Haraldson from Iceland. Yes, that's the player I was thinking of in yesterday. Yes. I like watching him play. Andy, question: would you take 150 million for Isak and build a team for the year? No, like, I've seen people say that, especially rival fans, and they talk. Sometimes this is what's interesting to me because they say this, and I'm not saying there isn't like logic in this. I understand what they're saying, like how Liverpool did with Coutinho. They sold him for 120, 130 million, whatever they did, and they bought Van Dijk. They bought all these other guys. I think the different, and they kind of said, wouldn't Newcastle want to? Would improve the whole squad? I always feel like rival fans and talk about it. They have this misconception of what Newcastle's PSR financial situation is, and like we're like the Oliver Twist. Like, please, sir, can I have some more? Like, we're literally like struggling. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah,
I think they also
not the case.
Exactly, and I think they also underestimate. I don't think Philip Coutinho meant to Liverpool what Isak means to us. I would psychologically for the players and for the team and for the fan base, like where he's at the moment. Like that's why he's so priceless now.
Yeah.
And even if we can get the second best to Isak at the moment, like as a replacement, it wouldn't suffice. Like it would be a problem. Like it would be a problem for the club and for the team. And so, no.
Yeah.
is the
and
answer.
The Coutinho thing was completely different. Two people keep saying two names to me and saying, why don't you just try and do that? Coutinho was completely different. Liverpool were going for a change of tact, the change of approach. They were looking to play a completely different way of football that Coutinho wouldn't have fitted anyway. So it wasn't a case of selling Coutinho and replacing him. They went and bought Alisson and Van Dijk with the money. They didn't replace him. And then people talk about Bale. Bale is, again, completely different. It was Tottenham and Real Madrid came knocking. Some clubs come knocking and the player wants to leave. You either try and keep the player and they fall off and you've completely messed it up for both your club and the player, or you be a gentleman about things and say, look, some clubs have just got that pull. And if the player wants to go, you allow them to go for the certain amount of money and then try and rebuild. We're in neither of them positions right here. We should never sell him to anyone in England, regardless of who it is. Yeah. If Madrid come knocking in a year's time and they're looking to pay silly money and Isak goes, actually, I'd really like to give this a go, I think we've got to respect him and let him go.
Yeah.
But until that happens and he's happy to stay, no amount of money is enough for Alexander Isak.
It's probably more closer to a Harry Kane situation than it is to any of those other situations.
Yeah.
And next year, when I doubt Lewandowski is going to stay at Barcelona. Speaking of Kane, I think Bayern Munich are going to look for a replacement for Kane as well. Then we're going to have, and it's a situation where it interests every. Now, as a fan, I hope Isak stays and breaks Alan Shearer's record. Anything below that is, and I think from Isak's point of view, is people are acting like Liverpool are in all respect to Liverpool, like Premier League champions. But they're not the only. I think why they're trying to put this media pressure and we'll do the 200 million spend now is because they know what's going to happen in the summer. Because once Barcelona and Bayern Munich and all those other guys start knocking, then Liverpool don't look so big anymore. They look very, very ordinary. So we'll see, and hopefully by then we've again won another trophy and qualify for the Champions League. And look, maybe Isak can do that Wolf of Wall Street situation and say, "I'm not leaving." It's meant to be his goodbye. I'm not leaving.
But if we push it, if we sign these players that we've just spoke about and we push on again, we're going to get to this point next year, and he's going to look at it where we're on the cusp of challenging every team in the country. So it does only leave a very small bracket of European teams that can go and get him. And by this time, he's potentially going to be on a 4-year contract for 240 grand a week. So he's gonna cost more than £150 million just based on that.
And who says we're not going to be challenging? Like,
Yeah.
as well, like people saying, the other analysts here, when he looks at, are they going to be challenging the next 2 seasons? Well, that's 4 transfer windows, 5 if you include this one. Do you really think we can't? Like, how many transfer? Like, why not? Like,
And don't forget that there's still a multitude of things within the club that are not sponsored.
exactly.
That other clubs have sponsors for. Our owners are not silly. We get this. We get Champions League this year. We do well in it. We get Champions League again at the end of the season. That ups the bracket of what they can put in for sponsorship deals. If we have to, they will start slapping down fees for these things to be sponsored. And then we can build again to start challenging. We don't have to, like all the other clubs have maximized all of this. Every other club in the league pretty much has maximized all of this stuff. And we're still at about 40% from what I understand and everything I've read. So there's other ways for them to do it, but they're just being very clever about when they do it. Because at the minute, we'd have to be in line with an Aston Villa and a West Ham.
Yeah.
Whereas in the end of next season, if we've done well in the Champions League and we're in the Champions League again, we can be in line with a Chelsea or an Arsenal.
Yeah.
So it's different, and it's very different money.
And we're still waiting for the Man City's APT case come. Oh, we know it's been unlawful. We'll see where that goes. And Chelsea, don't forget all them hotels that you guys sold, because our owner's got a heap of hotels. Like, do you really? We can all go down that dark alley. So, I'm yes. Sorry. Great question though. Who was Andy? Great question though, Andy.
It just calls like 10 minutes worth of conversation.
I know. Sorry,
that is a good question, isn't it?
It's a great question. I've gone over time. I'll get through the question. And yesterday, Ronaldo, would you like to see a double deal? Edison, Scalvini. I think we need better depth. It's going to be another. So, in short answer, I think more reports. Longstaff to Everton or to Leeds was reported today. We know Willock has been extensively linked to Fulham, for instance, and Crystal Palace. I think we've got Miley. God forbid, but Miley might go to Palace.
He can't leave unless it's a loan for me. That would hurt so much.
He's been pushing for it. Like we had that Fabrizio report in January, and he's come from his camp.
That would hurt a lot. That one.
I think he's looking at the Bellingham brothers and how a lot of youngsters are doing it, and he's thinking, I want game to. That would hurt. But yeah, in terms of Edison, if that's the case, Edison's not far. There was another midfielder I was thinking of, because we were looking at a midfielder, and I was like, if we're getting this guy, Xavi Simons is the other guy I was thinking of.
Yeah, decent.
You know, and yes, the Ronaldo, the ones who broke the Isak news was a local Basque paper, Diaro. Diaro, something that would make sense because he was playing for he was playing for Real Sociedad. That makes sense, Ronaldo. It's always it will be these inconspicuous. Inconspicuous. It's getting late, guys. Forgive me. Newspapers. Kim Cam, Italian clubs are desperate for money, any money. And you know what? People forget that their TV thing is gone down the tubes. Like, yeah, and it's interesting times ahead. And yes, when Liverpool fans are super disrespectful towards Newcastle, they're like, who the F are Newcastle? In 70 years, they need to understand that we want to become number one. And you know what? I've been interested to see what Mitch thinks is. I say, for me personally, especially when I'm coming on rival shows and big channels and stuff like that, two things, like a couple things really. A lot of fans are going to be hypocritical and say, act like you belong. But when you talk to them about sensitive issues about their club, they don't act like how they belong. No. We're all hypocrites in that. I think that for me, just is let people talk and let the club do the walking. Like they said to me last year when I was back in Eddie Howe, you're not going to win anything with him. We've won stuff with him.
Exactly.
Now they're saying, well, you're not going to win the Premier League. What's going to happen?
Fans comparing Eddie Howe to Ange. I couldn't. That happened at one point in the season. I was let's not do this, please.
Ange, Mark Hughes, all these type of guys. Yeah. So Let them talk, and this is all part of the journey. Like I see a lot of fans reacting to it a lot, and some react to it by saying, "No, we're nobodies," like or whatever, and some are like get super angry and stuff like that. And I'm not saying feel how you want to feel, and don't let people like tell you how to feel. But I think over time, there's ways to handle it. There's ways I have to handle it, like in terms of that, like people will just continue to bait you on it.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? I don't know what you think, Mitch. What's your view on it?
I'm very good at not biting the bait. I tend to be the one that's baiting the hook most of the time, to be fair. And I get involved in discussions where I know I can draw people into somewhere they don't want to be. But all of these fans, like, who they say the thing of act like you've been here before, or how do you know how to act because you haven't been here before? And it's like, that doesn't matter. Like, we're going to be there. Yeah. Regardless of what you think or how you feel now, or 70 years of not winning a trophy, 2 or 3 years, we're going to be sat at the table. Just make sure you're still sat there when we sit down, or this conversation is going to be very different. Because we're getting to that table.
And it's not going to stop because we've got owners that actually want to win. So, yeah, enjoy the journey because that's what makes it sweeter. That's what makes Newcastle's journey so much sweeter because there's fans who want to act like the club is the underdog when they're not. They've got the highest wage bills. They've got the highest spends. Newcastle is the actual underdog of underdogs. And I have to remind these folks, I've seen 2 relegations in my lifetime. I've seen 14 years I've seen Sports Direct ruin across my club stadium. When our owners took over, they said that we're going to be the richest club in the championship because we couldn't win a game in 14, 15 games. And they always forget that no club stayed in the Premier League after not winning a game in the first 15. They so easily forget that, and then has a 25-point swing the following season. They say, "Oh, money," and they forget who we bought: Chris Wood, Kieran Trippier, Dan Burn, Matt Target. And what did they say when we bought them, Mitch? Oh, those are underwhelming signings.
They're not good enough. Eddie Howe can't do this.
I thought these clubs were rich. They're not. Eddie Howe, don't forget that video clip that went viral on TalkSport when they said to him, "Who are you going to get? Antonio Conte, Thomas Tuchel?" And the Newcastle fan, in his wisdom, said, "I like that Eddie Howe guy." And these guys were
rolling, weren't they?
They were rolling on the floor. They couldn't believe that out of the richest club in the world went Eddie Howe. Savor it.
Yeah.
Savor it. Because
the other thing I find quite ironic is people reference the Saudi and the Middle Eastern money, especially fans of a certain club whose stadium and front of shirt sponsors happens to be Emirates Airlines.
Right.
It's quite ironic that they forget that piece when they start throwing these little jibes at us, like we haven't noticed it.
And you know what? When it does turn around, you know what we're going to be saying? You only got it because you're rich. Artificial club. They're going to forget. They're going to forget all of this. They're going to forget our PSR struggles, how we couldn't spend what we wanted, how we're different to Chelsea, Man City, and everybody else. We had to follow the rules. We had to bring up our revenue. We had to grow organically. We couldn't buy Robinho in our first couple seasons. We had to buy Matt Target. They'll forget all of that.
Yeah,
they will.
What we need to make sure they remember is you can't call us fake when we've been in the championship and we were still there.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that, but they will though. That's the thing about it. Like you'll have to remind them, and
that's going to be the rebuttal every single time. I watched every single game in the championship. Don't come at me with this fake stuff. If you don't know pain, we've been there and we've built back from the pain. Just don't.
So. There's always going to be stuff. But great. There's too many great questions at midnight. Kim Cam, Andy Q. We do not need answering that question as well. El Capo, the Mickey Mouses have got more chance at getting Leonardo's bird oot out of the love than stealing Isak. I was like, where is this heading to? Isak, like it's an old car radio. Isak won't have a cellular. One more question because I'm running way over time, but you guys have been fantastic. And folks, please do remember to like, share, and subscribe. And did you put your contact in your channel in the description, Mitch? So folks can also subscribe to your channel as well. I'll include it otherwise as well. Final question from Yester Wijnaldum. Does it bother you that PIF are buying our rivals unwanted players or big fees? So for me, that's died down a little bit. But yes, it doesn't, because two things. They've got such a close Premier League. There's governments that have got a close microscope on. Newcastle have been surveillance like no other team. Like people that like no other team have been surveillance. Like I've been monitored like Newcastle United. Dan Ashworth, when he was here, whispered the name, and I always say this, he whispered the name Ruben Neves. People forget this. I have to remember this because it's on my channel. He whispered the name Ruben Neves, and within 2 weeks, there was the Premier League clubs were forced to make a vote on multi-club ownership, which we only got over the line by one club, Nottingham Forest. That's Newcastle United. Just the other week, they had a vote on Chelsea and the hotels. And everybody's, no, we want the hotels. Right? Whether rival fans want to accept it or not, Newcastle are being treated totally differently to any other club. And if all of a sudden the owners stop buying these players and only Newcastle are able to sell their players to Saudi Arabia, they're going to pull the plug on us, and they'll do it instantly. And you'll know what the situation is. That's why I like to actually poke fun on Liverpool fans and stuff like that and say, remember who rebuilt your midfield? It was my owners. We rebuilt your midfield. We gave you the money. Just remember that. When you guys were suffering, thinking, who's going to buy Fabinho when he's got no knees? You called up my owners to do that. They'll forget that. So we have to, and it's part of a bigger game that we have to play. Like, our owners aren't just like guys that own retail shops around the world type of thing. Like it's a whole complicated thing around it that we have to manage. And so obviously I don't want our rivals to be empowered up, but at the same time, it's something that has to be done, at least to keep up more than appearances. It has to be real. But yeah, I'll let you finish off on it, Mitch, if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is I think this is just another clever game from the owners, because obviously we sold ASM to Saudi for quite cheap.
Yes.
And they're hoovering up other players for massive amounts of money. When we've actually got some like legit sellable assets that have come to the end of their time at Newcastle, there will be no qualms when they start going to Saudi for big money. And they've played it very well. If we did it early on, say if they came in early on and ASM went for £60 million, there would have been questions. And then if Sean Longstaff went not long after for £40 million, there would have been questions. If 2 or 3 years down the line, or 5 years down the line, when Bruno's slowing down and we're looking to replace him, if he then goes for £50 million, no one's going to say a word, because he's a massive name in world football, and it's the kind of money that players have been going for years. So I think they've played a very clever game yet again with that, because once these players like your Joe Lintons and people like that, when it does get to the point of replacing them, there will still be decent fees for them to go to Saudi, because they will be big enough names for it to happen.
Absolutely. And a final comment here from Bobby Fairview. Newcastle has been quite passive, though. It's time to start asserting your wealth and stop being so timid. Sell your women's team. and people, again, because we've got some great Newcastle channels to talk about it. Like, especially like, for instance, our sponsorship deals. Do you know how our sponsorship deals have some of the longest waiting times? When we go to the Premier League to do our sponsorship deals, they make us wait. How are you doing this? Who's this? Yeah. Like, there's a reason why we're waiting for Man City to like finish this whole ATP stuff. And look how they're treating Man City.
Like background checks on tea ladies and companies and everything, just to make sure there's no link whatsoever.
So like, it's not that Newcastle. Speaking of hotels, like now that Chelsea have gone and done it, we might just remember our owners can actually build hotels.
Yeah.
And so, like, it can go to a whole new different level. So,
Build a hotel just right on the edge of the stadium just to sell it to ourselves.
with
These
great,
things are logical things they could do. It's just, it's
yeah,
mad.
honestly, with great power comes
But
great
it seems
responsibility.
they actually want to do it like, I don't want to drag the show on too far, but it does seem like they want to do it the right way. It doesn't seem like they want to do everything sort of like underhanded or sort of slyly hidden in some way, and they're hiding things here and there. They just want to seem like they want to do it the right way, which is, I think, why this is different to all of the others, because everybody else was just like spend, and now Chelsea are finding like the most like acute angles to earn more money, and other clubs are doing similar things, and we're just going to play it by the book. Just let us play it by the book, and we'll do what we can do, and then when it gets to the point where we're big enough, we'll put more money in. But they've just done everything of what they've been asked, even when it's been like beyond reasonable, the restraints that we've put against us. They've just been like, cool, we can spend that, we'll spend that, and we'll do it the right way, and we'll just keep building and building and building. So when we get there, for me, it's going to be so much more fun.
Absolutely agree. And with that, Mitch, let folks know where they can find you. And
Right.
yeah.
So, well, first off, it'll be tomorrow evening, Spurs Kings TV, the rivals, 10 o'clock. Me and Philip will be there. Great show, always funny, but regular show for me is Sunday evenings at 9, Where the Owls Sleep, on YouTube and Spotify. That same show drops Monday evening at 9 o'clock.
And guys, I want to let you know they've been absolutely phenomenal. We had so much ground to cover because there's tons of Newcastle news. We talked about the contract renewal that's going to be coming for Isak, the approach from Al Hilal for Bruno Guimaraes. We talked about Anthony Elanga, the bid for that. Then we did a scouting report on Anthony Elanga and the four other players, Kudus, Bakayoko. I forgot the third guy. Adeyemi. Who would fit our system the most? We've got Mitch's take on it. We've got you guys' take on it. Then we went to the man Scalvini, who I'm very excited. Even though in fact, I watched him. I forgot that I watched him live. I've seen the kid live, which is crazy. But all the news around that, got tons of stuff really, and we're talking about like Newcastle's ATP rules and everything else, and like answered some fantastic questions. We covered so much ground with you guys. Talked about Isak and everything else, and you guys have all been fantastic and phenomenal. And Mitch, I want to say a big thank you to yourself as well. Incredible,
thank you for having me, man.
It's always a pleasure. And I know the chat love having you as well, guys. Make sure you, as always, you look after each other. You have a great evening no matter what you're doing. And as always, folks, good night and God bless, guys.